Hi there, welcome to Terrorland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Virgo energy, and like usual, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Virgo energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy. We all have to make decisions in our life, and we have free will, so we battle within ourselves. In our more high vibe nature of having a little more hope and faith and belief in ourselves and in others and in love, we could want to do life a little bit differently, and some people are. But some people, when they debated within themselves, decided to keep doing life the way they were doing it. And, we all are on our own journey, and when we're ready, and when we're not ready, we're not ready. And the bottom row can just represent, our comfort zone. And if we were to move forward in life a little differently, that could be different things for different people. I'm just going to be nice and kind and supportive, encouraging to myself than belittling or berating. Or I don't like this job and I'm going to quit this job, But whatever the case is, some people might not be willing to do that. And the thing is, we have different people in our life. And we can have people in our life that align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature, but we might have people we're in relationship with that align with us in our more worldly, shadowy nature. And that could be kind of why we like each other and hang out with each other. And if we quit whatever it is within us that makes us live our life at a certain stage of life, and we're going to move forward in life a little differently, that might mean we might not hang out with certain people, or we might not date or marry certain people or stay married to certain people, and it can be very disruptive, and some people might not like it. Friends or family or whoever, And so it's a lot to take in when we're going to make some significant kind of major decisions in our life. And high vibe Virgo energy is about doing the inner work to look at the things that are hidden in the dark that we might not want to see the truth of, or we didn't see the truth of, and we maybe didn't want to see the truth of. But sometimes things happen outside of our control that it forces us to look at things we didn't want to look at. And sometimes say you're a little more codependent. Well, if you're in a relationship with someone, friendship or otherwise, and say that person moves, well, it forces you, you don't have someone to be kind of codependent with, so then it can force you to have to do some of this inner work, Anyway, and people are at different emotional maturity levels of lessons they've learned. High vibe people have learned to offer love to themselves and the situations to work through them, and they're willing in their Virgo energy to put in the work and effort to work through those things that kind of manipulate them and kind of come out on the other side. That's definitely what the top row is talking about. But we could always have some people in our life. I view the Three of Cups as Cancer energy, so we can align with our more loving nature, and we could have people in our life that work together with us in a more loving and encouraging way. But we might have some people in our life that we could love, but we could feel like they use their emotions more manipulatively, regardless, and all of these zodiac signs I mentioned, people don't have to be a Virgo sun sign, don't have to be a Cancer sun sign, a Taurus, an Aquarius, Scorpio, Sagittarius, we all tap into all these zodiac sign traits in either a more high vibrational way, a more worldly way, or a more shadowy way. And so in Virgo, it's kind of like, what is people's truth? What lessons have they learned in life? Do they have self-awareness, self-insight about things that manipulate them? And if they are in more shadowy energy, do they see the truth that maybe they could be more emotionally manipulative or immature or prideful or egotistical or bossy or controlling or want reward without effort, right? And so in the bottom row, we have the Ten of Wands, which can talk about really trying to move something forward with some people because of having hope, maybe in faith, in truth and love, and kind of thinking other people are motivated by truth and love. But sometimes we're the only one putting in all the work and effort to try to keep moving it forward. And partly it could be because the other people are happy doing this. Because above the Ten of Wands is the Tower. People would have to detach from a certain way of living life, viewing life, ways of thinking, feeling, a vice, being something, in order to move forward differently. Over here we have the Six of Pentacles, and the Six can talk about balance, and the Seven of Cups can talk about a more deep, meaningful relationship. And some people are like, I might like to move forward with you in a friendship or relationship, but the truth could be I'm unstable. And maybe I'm really overwhelmed, and maybe I'm really immature, and maybe I like to try to emotionally manipulate people to get them to do what I want. Or I want to be in a relationship. The Three of Cups can talk about working together with other people, but I kind of just want to indulge myself in it. And I maybe really don't want to do love. The Two of Cups is also Cancer energy, and Cancer energy, emotional water sign energy about love, love of self, love of others. And some people just haven't learned to love themselves, and they're very unstable. And so then they can really want to be in relationships with other people to make them feel more stable because they haven't learned to love themselves. But then that's the driving reason for being in a relationship. I really want to be in a relationship because I'm really overwhelmed and I really feel unstable. And if I get in a relationship with someone else, it helps me feel more stable. Well, we all like community and friendship and relationship. It doesn't mean we have to get in a romantic relationship with someone. We could try to just have friends and family members and enjoy their company and put in work and effort to get just more stable within ourselves. But for some people, that's, you'd have to be inspired to want to do that. And some people are like, well, I could do that. But the Tower can be that some people don't want to do that. I could do that when I'm in a relationship with people and I'm moving forward with people. I have the free will to see the truth that I'm in a relationship with some people who are being loving, high vibe. Ace of Swords can be all three of the air signs: Libra, Aquarius, Gemini. They're just, they're fair, they're loving, they're encouraging, they keep life in perspective, help me keep life in perspective, encourage me to believe in myself and believe in my dreams, get up out of my head and all these things that might feel like they overwhelm me, to have a little hope and faith and belief. And sometimes people who are like that kind of lack some hope and faith and belief, and they can have more of a lack mentality and kind of live more from their mind than their heart, which can be, I could learn to love myself and work through my own lack mentality and see the truth of how I'm fearful, I'm insecure, I'm immature, I'm manipulative, I'm unstable, I'm ungrounded. I could get inspired by truth and love to quit kind of indulging that nature within myself. The Five of Pentacles can be, I'm going to see the truth of this. And I'm not going to keep indulging this within myself. And I see the truth of it, and I'm not going to indulge it anymore. The Ten of Swords can be, I'm done. And sometimes some people look to relationships to make themselves feel better. Some people could go indulge in drugs or alcohol or whatever it is to make them feel better, right? And some people, if they realize that something's wrong, I don't feel more stable and grounded and balanced within myself. What is it? And they want, kind of like high vibe Virgo, I want to get to the truth. So because I want to get to the truth, and we all could have went through experiences in our life where, again, some things in our life didn't work out the way that we wanted. And the Five of Pentacles can be that we had to move away from some people, or we could have gotten let go of a job, or, other people moved, whatever. But the Five of Pentacles can be there was people that I had been in a relationship with that I had love for. And I had to move away from those people because there was something about it that was unstable, unjust, unfair, not balanced, manipulative, overwhelming, backstabbing, something. So they saw the truth. There's something I need to move away from, or I need to accept the truth that I need to move on from this. And then I don't want to. The ten of Swords can be like putting an end to something. I don't want to keep feeling unstable within myself. And I might feel overwhelmed, but I don't want to keep staying overwhelmed. I want to get to the other side of this. And high vibe people have learned I need to offer truth and love to myself and the situation, because high vibe energy is being illuminated to the truth that love is the answer. And also that if we are going to be in a relationship with people and move forward with people, love is to be just and fair. You're supposed to treat other people the way you like to be treated. And some people maybe didn't. And it could have been really hard for some people to move away from some people because they had love for those people, whether they were their adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, romantic relationship, a job. I can't keep staying where I feel left out in the cold and maybe backstabbed and overwhelmed. That is not a stable foundation. To build a stable foundation, it has to be built on truth and love and justice and fairness and high vibe Taurus character and integrity, where people are who they say they are, not just acting and presenting themselves as a just and fair and stable and grounded person who acts with character and integrity, but then they don't. And some people could have moved forward in something that was unstable because they kept putting in work and effort, hoping. The fives talk about change. We can always be in friendships or relationships with any of these different people in our life. And maybe at one time things were moving forward. The whole thing is we're kind of going down the path of life with people. And everything can kind of be going okay. But everyone else has their issues that they deal with within themselves. And some of the people we could be going down the journey of life with, all of a sudden they kind of start to drift off into the ditch. And it's like, things changed. And it's like, hey, what's going on? It seems like, you don't seem to want to move forward and put work and effort anymore. Maybe some people, shadowy Ten of Wands and shadowy Sagittarius, can be that maybe some people start to be kind of more immature. Or it just seems like it's too much work to maintain balance. And sometimes, people who aren't more stable and balanced within themselves, but then they can try to get in relationships with people who are more stable, grounded, and balanced, and maybe emotionally mature, less fearful, less insecure, less codependent, less reliant on vices or something. They can move forward with those people trying to create an illusion. Oh yeah, no, I've detached from that or any of those ways of being or those people. I'm ready to move forward with you in a relationship, And so someone who really has a lack mentality, I don't know, really hasn't learned to love themselves or isn't really motivated and inspired to do love. And it can be I'm just living more from my mind than my heart. And I create this illusion about the type of person I am so people will get in a relationship with me. They move forward in those relationships. And we can work through some things together because there's a lot of things to work through in a friendship or relationship or even a new job, right? So we could kind of go through a cycle where there are some issues, but we keep moving forward. Some of the people are trying to work together with people, still having in the Seven of Cups, can talk about kind of having hope and faith and belief that things will work out, and they keep being loving and encouraging. And, we could go through one cycle, but then, and maybe some things get tweaked and kind of changed, and we work through some issues, and then we kind of keep working to move forward. And that can go on for quite a long time. And sometimes it really does get down to the core foundational truth of a person. We can work through many different things with people, and we can go through many different stages of life. Just like we could have a friend that we knew when we were 15 and 18 and 21 and 25, and we could have worked through many things together. Just like in a relationship, we could have gotten in a relationship at whatever age, like dating or marriage, and we could have worked through 5 years, 10 years, 15 years of things, right? But eventually we do have to deal with a core foundational truth of the foundation that we operate from. And in the Ten of Swords is Gemini energy, and the Five of Pentacles is Taurus energy. So Taurus is kind of like our basic truth about our philosophy of life. Like, again, at a core foundational level, what our truth is of what drives and motivates us. And in our Gemini nature of free will, some people really don't want to do equal give and take. I want to be in relationships with people, but that's where I kind of have a problem. And then I'm kind of not sure if I want to keep moving forward with people. If it really gets to where, there's no skirting around it. It really is like, I've got to work through these things from the Five of Pentacles to the Six of Pentacles, which Virgo energy is that aspect within ourself that brings us that extra pentacle. Kind of like, I had one way of living life and viewing life, and in my Gemini nature of myself, I could be more about myself. And I kind of think it should be more about me. And that's a shadowy kind of Taurus relationship that anyone can have with people. It's kind of more transactional. I don't really want to do equal give and take and do a deep, meaningful relationship from a foundation of love. I kind of like to align with, and my truth is, and what I'm inspired by, is I'm more aligned with my more worldly view of life. A little bit more about being in a relationship, to be in the relationship, enjoy the relationship. I can be just and fair and loving and encouraging. But I'm never going to detach from that viewpoint in life, which is kind of in shadow. It's kind of operating from our more egoic view of life. I'm not going to come out from behind my more self-protective, egoic, defensive nature to really have more hope and faith and belief in myself and others and in love. That would require that I acknowledge a truth. And the Tower is about trying to get people to see the truth. And people could keep having things not work out for them in whatever situation, where whatever this issue is. The Ten of Wands can be that just some people are immature. Well, they get in different jobs, friendships, and relationships, and eventually it kind of comes out that they kind of really don't want to detach from kind of being more immature. And so people don't want to be in friendships or jobs with them, and then there's people who, I don't know, maybe they could feel overwhelmed, and then when they're overwhelmed, they could just get an overwhelm in your more worldly egoic nature can be something kind of overwhelms them in some sense that, maybe they could get angry or jealous or envious or frustrated or whatever, right? And then they could do things that are like lash out, things that would be kind of more immature. And they kind of sabotage themselves in a workplace or a relationship, and then things blow up, right? And then there's other people that just have a lack mentality. Um, they don't work through their own lack mentality of not feeling good enough, and just because of how they think and feel about themselves, and they haven't worked through it to get to the heart of the matter of it and deal with the truth of some of these issues within themselves, that can kind of, how differently do you act in a relationship with people if you feel more high vibe Virgo and high vibe Taurus, where you feel more balanced and stable and grounded within yourself, and you feel like you appreciate kind of what you bring to the table, and what you bring to the table in any situation might not be what other people bring to the table, but kind of proud of at least what you contribute. It doesn't have to be bigger or better or more so than anyone else, but high vibe energy is that I am willing to treat people the way I like to be treated. I am motivated and inspired to work together with people cooperatively. I don't need it to be more about me. I don't even want it to be more about me. I want it to be more just and fair, but some people just need to work through their own uh, maybe negative self-talk. The swords can talk about all these thoughts in our head. And sometimes just because we have that negative self-talk, it can kind of sabotage some of we just act differently, and we behave differently, and we interact differently. And then there is some people who just have this way of viewing life that isn't it more to get in a relationship, to be in a relationship, maybe more for the status, the ego, the image, to enjoy a relationship, indulge in a relationship. But it's not really love. It's more of, well, I don't want to not be in a relationship. But then they could take action, maybe even just for want of these things. I want to be in a relationship. But are they getting in relationships with people because they love them, or just because they feel left out in the cold, or they want to have an intimate relationship? Fire sign energy can talk about sex. Are they not really investing in truth and love? And then there's people who can go get in a relationship with someone else just because they want someone else to feel left out in the cold and backstabbed and maybe destabilized. And that would definitely be a shadowy reason to get in a relationship. Anyone who's more shadowy can try to present themselves as more high vibrational so people will get in a relationship, but they could have more of these shadowy reasons as to why they get in a relationship. And some people, Virgo energy is represented by the Knight of Pentacles, which can, if anybody, male or female, can kind of present themselves as a Knight of Pentacles in the world. I'm this stable, grounded person. I might not take impulsive, reckless action in my life. I might really want to take some action, but I know maybe if I do that, it won't work out. So I've kind of got to ground myself, and also whatever shadowy nature I have about me, I have got to kind of bury that beneath the surface so that people don't know. And then I try to present myself as a much more stable, balanced person than I really am, in order to try to manipulate people. And in the Seven of Cups, kind of try to create this illusion about who they are. And that's how some people live their whole life. Instead of ever doing the work within themselves, where do I need to heal and grow and mature myself? How have I sabotaged relationships? Why did I do that? Again, Virgo's about self-insight, self-awareness, to see the truth of it. So whatever it was that people could have done that, you kind of grow up and mature yourself. And you say in the tower, if I used to do those things or think this way or feel this way or act that way, and it caused these problems in my life, well, that's it. You know, the truth sets us free. I am not doing that anymore. That is in my past. And that's what some people do in life. Like when I was a 15-year-old, I acted and thought and behaved like a 15-year-old. Well, if I kept trying to act like a 15-year-old when I was 18 and 21 and 25, etc., there's going to be other people who aren't going to want to hang out with me because they're like, this is like a 15-year-old. I've dated people who acted like this and behaved like this. I certainly don't. I want to be in relationships with people who have grown and matured themselves and put those ways behind them. But there's always going to be people in the world that are full of themselves, bossy, controlling, immature, want to be indulged, think they should be indulged, think they're God's gift to people. But some people have just gotten better at hiding it than other people. So you don't really know they're, till eventually, because they just can't hide it. And part of it is because they're trying to move forward, acting and living their life again like they're a more stable, grounded person, motivated and inspired by love, who's more just and fair and emotionally mature than they are. And it's very overwhelming. It's kind of like having a job where you put on your resume, oh yeah, I know how to do this, and oh yeah, I did a lot of that at that last job, and blah blah blah. Like I've learned all these lessons in life, but they really haven't. And some people, that's what they think everyone else is doing too. They kind of didn't see the truth that other people who were more immature, egotistical, self-centered, like it to be more their way or the highway. Well, they could have detached from that when they were 5 to 8 to 10 years old. And some people never detach from that way of being. They just hide that they still think that's just and fair. And they think everybody else is that way too. So shadowy energy can be competitive energy, kind of like, who can I confuse and manipulate to try to get them to do what I want so they don't know I really want it more my way, or I'm really just more about me. And for some people, they just are clueless and they do not get it. And part of it is because, we all live our life and think the way we think and do what we do, and we rationalize it to ourselves that I think that's just and fair. And sometimes when some people get close to where, the 9s and the 10s are about, there's the opportunity to close out a cycle, to see the truth, to drop the burden. The truth sets you free. You don't have to tell everyone, but at least tell it to yourself, even about how overwhelmed I could be because of what other people did. Cry, mourn. That's why I like going to movies, happy ones and sad ones, and you get to feel all the emotions and you let yourself, it's like purging emotions, And, but some people never do. And they could get in situations where there's the opportunity for them to have more balance within themselves. But also high vibe energy is about being more independent. And you have to become independent of these things within yourself that manipulate you. But if you have some of these things that manipulate you, even I just like to live more from my mind than my heart. Over here, we have the world, the mind, and kind of being inspired and wanting to be in relationship, but maybe people who think sex is love. So it's like, I don't understand. I get in these relationships with people and I have sex with them, and why don't they love me? It's like, well, Are you just having sex, or are you getting to know people and thinking, again, more worldly, living more from your mind than your heart, and a more worldly viewpoint is, I have these things of the world to offer people. Well, yeah, you can have sex with people. You can let people uh, enjoy your life with you, offering them more of these things of the world, money, status, image, social clout, friendship, or whatever. But are you doing love? Is there equal give and take? You know, and when we work on those, I was going to say though, when we have these things within us, we probably have people in our life who we've been in friendship and relationship with, or friends or family members who also are in that energy. And then, it's this whole way of living life about kind of what motivates and inspires you, and why you get in relationships and stay in relationships and get in certain friendships and not other friendships. And there are some people in the world, they don't want to do deep, meaningful relationships. And I think for a long time, it can be really hard for people who are motivated and inspired by love, because that's their truth. And they think, well, of course, if people had more just, fair, balanced, loving people in their life, of course, who wouldn't choose love? There's going to be some people in the world who will never do that. I get hurt doing that. I've maybe already been hurt doing that. And somewhere along the path in life, they had this idea, I know, I can move forward living more from my mind than my heart. I just have to kind of quit showing people either how immature I am, how much more motivated I am just to be in a relationship for these other reasons, or for sex or whatever. And I need to make sure I kind of, that's like shadowy Scorpio too. I got to keep that buried underneath the surface. And I have to do a better job at presenting myself as a much more like pillar of society in a way kind of person, so that people will get in relationship. And again, that's what some people think everyone is doing. Like everyone is creating an illusion. But that's what they don't see the truth of. Other people work through their lack mentality. They work through the fact that they've loved people who could have backstabbed them, who weren't very just and fair or loving or nurturing or whatever. And they decided, high vibe, Sagittarius is about, I'm going to wrap my brain around this game of life because I am tired of that happening. And there's always going to be people in the world who are more immature, selfish, greedy, whatever, right? I need to figure out what it was that drew and attracted me to getting in a relationship and staying in a relationship with them, so I don't get in a relationship with the next person who's like that. I need to see the truth. And it starts with me learning to love myself and aligning with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, working through my own lack mentality. And yes, there might be these things of the world that I would like to manifest in the fire sign energy of the Taurus energy. I want friendship, I want relationship, I want a job, right? Whatever it is. But I can't let the fact that I might want those things be the more driving factor of why I take action to get in those things. I need to get balance within myself. The Seven of Cups can talk about, I need to make peace with things from my past, so that the past isn't still manipulating me and how I think and feel about myself. I see the truth. I've been in relationships and have known people. Some of them were more just and fair and authentic and loving and encouraging. Some of them weren't. Everyone else I've ever dealt with in my life had free will to be more motivated and inspired to be just and fair and authentic and loving, or not. And I was at whatever stage of life I was at, and I acted whatever way I acted. I can only take responsibility for myself. And everybody else has to take responsibility for their self. And that is something some high vibe people have done in their life. And some other people really could have a hard time doing that because they don't even want to see the truth about themselves. And light, shadowy energy can be, nope, nope, nope. I don't want to see the truth. This person has their head down. Nope, I don't want to see the truth. And I don't want to maybe reflect on those things and see the truth of it. Things I could have done, things other people could have done. And that can be us and our pride and ego. I have an idea. I'm just going to keep moving forward. I don't have to deal with that. I'm sure it'll all just go away. But the thing is, it's kind of like a box in our brain giving off an energy signal, that affects us. And it keeps affecting us until we release it. And that is from the Five of Pentacles to the Six of Pentacles, that Ace of Pentacles. Do that inner work to look at those things that we don't want to look at, that are hidden in the dark. And if I don't have, it's kind of, here's a Virgo Hermit card. We don't go in with a hatchet or a bat to beat ourselves up or beat anybody else up. We go in with a light, and the light kind of represents love. I'm going to ask for love and compassion and forgiveness to myself for being a fallible human being who has had lessons to learn, and I'm going to offer it to other people. Everybody is where they're at. Everybody acted the way they acted because of where they were at. I acted the way I acted at different times because of where I was at. And just to accept the truth of it and kind of believe that, if, say, somebody who's quite shadowy, could it seem like they can get away with things for a really long time in their life? Yeah, but, other people could be in relationship with them for their own reasons. Do we think some more really just and fair and loving people are going to be in relationship with them? Do we think that they're going to have what other people who are more just and fair and authentic and loving, at least those kind of relationships? They might have a lot of things in the world, but do they really have those kind of deep, meaningful relationships? Probably not, because that's just not the type of person they are. It might look like it, but it might look like the illusion of love. Because in order to really work together with people and have a deep, meaningful relationship, both people have to be operating from truth and love. And we can all know some people, that's not the truth of who they are. And they got some growing up to do. And in our more worldly, shadowy nature, we got to temper our ego. And that is working through our fear and our insecurity and our immature, self-indulgent nature, our lust, our greed. And we need to put an end to that and see the truth of it, that it doesn't move our life forward the way we want. And some people will never do that. They get to a certain stage in whatever relationship dynamic it is, and because they don't want to see the truth, or they don't want to do more equal give and take, or they don't really want to do love or really do a deep, meaningful relationship, they have the idea, let that go, and we'll go start all over at the beginning. And we'll go find someone else to go get in a relationship, and they go back to the beginning all over again. Repeat the same pattern with someone else. Different friend, different relationship, different marriage, different job. And eventually, they're the same person. They never healed and grew and matured themselves in some way. They never changed at a core foundational level their philosophy of life. They don't do deep, meaningful relationships. They're not doing the work to get more balance within themselves. So they always stay tipped out of balance. And then they want people to indulge them being tipped out of balance. It could even be, some people like to play poor, poor, pitiful me. because they like people to, it's like feeding off of people. If some people wouldn't have to be in a relationship with anyone, and they could play the poor, poor, pitiful me victim all their life and have people in their friendship group or their family group or community that, oh, poor, poor so and so. You know, they get in these relationships and then those relationships don't work out. You know, for some people, that's their idea of the dream life. Love playing the victim, kind of in the Five of Pentacles. Poor, poor, pitiful me. Nothing works out for me. Well, part of the reason some of the relationships don't work out for them is because we will prove ourselves true. And if we think, oh, relationships never work out for me, you know, people try to manipulate me, people aren't who they say they are, you know, some of these people, they get in relationships with people who are just and fair and authentic and loving, but because of this, no, things never work out for me. No, it always ends badly. They will prove themselves true. It's kind of this idea that I do talk a lot about, this thing that will keep repeating certain patterns because that's our truth. And until we see the truth of how we repeat a certain pattern, we'll keep repeating it. And some people's pattern is this idea that nothing ever works out for them. And it's this idea, it's kind of hard to explain if you haven't experienced it, but it's kind of like we need to work through things, and that's why we repeat these certain patterns and these kind of relationship dynamics. And if we get in a relationship with someone who isn't repeating that relationship dynamic, like they're doing high vibe energy, it's like, you know, it's like I'm not ready to move there yet because I have these issues that I haven't dealt with. Sometimes some people who would even swear, I would never act like this, I would never do this, I would never do that, they will. Because it's kind of like looking for other people to do that. And then when those people don't play that role, like I'm used to people rejecting me and leaving me out in the cold. People not being loving or encouraging or supportive of me. And that's kind of their comfort zone, but they don't want to see the truth of it. Well, then if they get in a relationship with people who are being loving and encouraging of them, it starts to cause this kind of upset within them because the pattern isn't repeating. And so then in order to cause that pattern dynamic, like, well, I need to make this person mad, I need to make this person reject me, I need to make, because I thought they were going to do that from the beginning and they didn't do it. So then they'll start to do things in order to make that relationship dynamic, try to get the other people to like play the other role. It's like having this pattern, like, well, no, this is the script and this is how things are supposed to go. This is what I'm used to. And the other people are like, I don't want to play that role in your life. I don't want to do that. Well, then they almost become the villain in their own story. But they so badly don't want to see the truth of how they could have sabotaged themselves to recreate that scenario. No, you have to reject me. No, you have to backstab me. No, I need to feel overwhelmed because that's what I'm used to. That some of those people repeated that pattern. Some other people kind of saw the truth of it. They didn't want to repeat that pattern. I've already been there and done that. So the same way it can be kind of like I was talking about people being immature, like kind of like 15 or 18-year-olds and I don't know, cheating, being rude, being whatever, abusive. And it's like, I'm not doing that. And so I'm going to keep moving forward in this energy. And sometimes the more someone doesn't want to see the truth of their own issues, and if you do see the truth of their issues and you kind of keep staying in this energy, the harder and harder they might try to do things to hurt you, to tear you down. And so then, in a more shadowy energy, people don't like that because they could like to view themselves as a very stable, grounded, loving person that people should want to be in a relationship. And in a lot of ways, they can be very kind of seeming, or were a very stable, grounded, loving, encouraging person in people's life, where people wouldn't have kept being in a relationship with them. But then their kind of lack mentality could have came in, or instead of working through some of their issues and choosing truth and love and continuing to work with people, shadowy energy again can kind of be when we kind of get in our jealousy and our envy. Why do I have these things that kind of overwhelm me and my lack mentality, and how'd you free yourself? And maybe when we got in the relationship, we were both in the same page, and then somehow you kind of came out on the other side, and then, but instead of telling you the truth, you might seem different. Before you seemed to kind of be in the same boat I was, and we both could have been hiding it, and we were both doing the best that we could, and maybe being loving and encouraging and supportive people to each other. But I didn't think you'd really free yourself from some of the things that used to manipulate you, and I thought we'd just keep moving forward like this forever. But when other people do that work to free themselves of past pain and heartbreak, or some lack mentality, or not feeling good enough, or whatever, and they're kind of moving forward in this energy, being loving and encouraging, you'd have to humble yourself to be willing to, learn lessons in life and admit you don't know everything. But for some people, if the relationship changes like that, it's like, this is different. It was different than what it was, and I don't like that. So I don't want to keep moving forward in it. And I have the idea, I'll just go get in a relationship with someone else. But if the reason why they didn't want to do this is because there's some truth that they need to see the truth of, when they get in another relationship with people who could be just and fair and loving and encouraging to them, the same thing's going to happen again. And it could just be that, as other people, because for 50% of the people at any given moment, they probably look at some of the things that, it's not like we're looking at them every day, but we might have some issues that we know kind of bother us. And we might drag them around for 5 or 10 years, but, then we kind of get tired of dragging them around. It starts to feel more and more overwhelming, and it's like, God damn it, I gotta look at this shit. And we start to take some of the shit out of the bag. Like, who put that thought in my head? And where'd that come from? I might have thought this at one time, and I might have belittled or berated myself, or other people might have belittled and berated me about something. But is that still the truth of who I am today? Have I grown and matured myself since then? And it's like, that's no longer my truth. I have maybe grown up and matured myself, so quit belittling and berating myself for something I maybe did 10 or 15 years ago, etc. Life's about learning these lessons. We can all feel overwhelmed when we have made some mistakes in life, because it can really disrupt our life and really be overwhelming. When we're willing to kind of see how that could have been a beneficial event in our life. Maybe it got us out of friendships or relationships or jobs we shouldn't have stayed in. Maybe it made us change our life in some way. Maybe it forced us to do this work within ourselves. Maybe it made us stop indulging in some vice or habit, right? And when we get to the other side, then we can kind of let go of the shame of it, because we learned the lesson we were meant to learn from it. And then we're thankful that it even happened. And then there is no shame in telling other people, I had these lessons to learn, but some people will never do that. The truth sets people free, and some people are not willing to do that. Some people have people in their life that they'd like to be in friendship and relationship with, but they would have to stop indulging themselves in something, and it could just be pride and ego. I'm not willing to admit I made a mistake. I'm not willing to admit I was immature. I'm not willing to admit I had a lack mentality. I'm not willing to admit I could have been hurtful and unkind to someone. Well, then they'll keep repeating this pattern, and while they do that, other people can have love and compassion for people. Hey, I've been there myself, kind of went down, not everything's the same, but, I've been more immature, I've been more stubborn, I've been more whatever, you know. But you can be loving and encouraging people, but until people in their own free will decide that whatever way they're going about something isn't working, isn't the answer, isn't just and fair, or going to get them the right result, they're going to keep doing it. But some people really have a big emotional attachment as to why they even do what they do. They could have grown up with other people who do things like that to try to get people to do what they want. And for those people, it worked on them. So it's like having to admit that they were wrong, or other people in their life who use tactics like that they could love are wrong, and that they should have taken action more in love. And some people, like I say, don't want to see the truth about themselves for others. Let's look at these cards that aren't showing themselves. The Temperance card and the Devil. Well, some people do want to live more from their mind than their heart. They do not want to do deep, meaningful relationships. And they hide the fact that they just try to. The Temperance card talks about balancing out their emotions, about the fact that there could be people they'd really like to be in a relationship with. But because that runs the risk of them maybe getting hurt, they aren't willing to try to balance things out with those people. Nope, I think I can just hide that I might like that person for some. For others, they're hiding the fact that they're very much about themselves and very materialistic, or all about themselves, very immature, very selfish, very greedy or something, full of themselves. But they try to hide that from people. And they think, nope, I can just keep moving forward with this idea. I'm sure this will work out. I don't have to do love. I'm not going to be in a relationship with someone I love. I'm going to keep moving away from them. I might have left them out in the cold and backstabbed them because I don't want to do love. And I don't want to see the truth that I could have, ran away basically from some people who I had love for. And I'm hiding that I let go of someone I could have had a dream come into reality with. Because I have these fears. And again, some people are more emotionally immature, and some people have lived more from their mind than their heart all their life and have kept their more emotional nature. Like, I don't exchange resources with that aspect of myself. I just kind of live from my more worldly nature, stay practical, stay grounded, focus on these things. And I detached from doing more equal give and take of connecting in more with my more emotionally intuitive loving nature. And when I got in relationships with people where it was like, oh shit, like I feel like the walls are cracking, like, oh my god, I might, for people who have kept their emotions buried and just like, because Scorpio does talk about we're these emotionally complex human beings, and it's confusing. We can have a lot of complex, different thoughts about people. I hate them, I love them, I don't ever want to talk to them, I hope they call me tomorrow. And some people at some point in their life is like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming, I'm done. There. It's like that part of me doesn't exist. That's it. From now on, I'm going to indulge myself in relationships. I'm not doing love. And if they get in relationships where it feels like the floodwaters are like going to break and all of this is going to come out that they don't even know how to deal with, it could be, nope, gotta go. I'm leaving. And I might do everything possible to make sure there's no chance of that relationship surviving just by the actions they take to make sure that is dead and buried so that they can go on and get maybe in a relationship and create the illusion it's love, maybe even being in relationships with people they don't love, people they don't want to be in a relationship with, people they could not be attracted to, but they want to be in a relationship. They want to, for the stability, the security, or have what other people have, status and image. I just don't want to do love. And other people, their dream is not about love. They are very much about the world and themselves, maybe, and looking like a shining star in the world. And if they were moving forward with some people where there was the potential to kind of bring that dream into reality, which high vibe energy would be, it's like enough. It's the Six of Pentacles. You have enough of these things of the world to be happy, stability, security, loving, supportive, encouraging people. But some people are like, but I want more. And the devil can be, I want more of those. I value those things more than I value love. And, so they could have sabotaged and ended, just like some people could have been in a career field that they loved and really enjoyed. But that one didn't have the status or the ego and the image. And even if they're in a job that they, oh my God, is drudgery every fucking day, but they pay me a lot of money, or I got a lot of social clout with it, or status or image. I don't care if this is not my dream job and I hate this job. I am going to fucking move forward with this job no matter what it takes. And for some people feel that way about, everybody's got kind of different fears, and some people have more than enough. But that's the thing with the devil. Enough is never enough. I need more money. I need more status. I need it more about me. I need to be more controlling. You need to let me be more abusive or more immature or more about me. I need more money. And they hide from the world that they're just so consumed with it either being about themselves or having this certain status or image in the world. And in their philosophy of life, it's not about love. You get in relationships with people to have those things in the world. You got to be practical and logical. That's how this game of life is played. And so, for some of the people who didn't align and listen to their more loving, intuitive nature, and maybe stay or pursue friendships or relationships with people that were more aligned with their hopeful, believing, loving nature, where they could have had a just and fair and balanced and loving relationship. They let that go. Some people they could have been really attracted to, and like they could have had that dream. But that dream required that they quit being more inspired by this other philosophy of life and they would have to detach from it. And that was too high a price to pay. And some of the people who could have been in relationship with them, that either they were immature or hurtful or controlling or whatever, those people are like, it might have a lot of these things of the world. We could have looked like the devil can be like, you had all these things of the world, like it looked like you had what everybody wants, and you were willing to give that up because it was too high a price to pay, because it wasn't working together with you emotionally, and it could have felt like you were operating from emotional foundation, but they weren't, and you couldn't have a more balanced, deep, meaningful relationship with them, and that was your dream. So the devil can kind of mean, I view it as like we're opposites. You know, you could view them as more selfish, greedy, bossy, controlling, immature, materialistic. They're like the devil to you, but you can represent the devil because you threaten their belief system and their philosophy of life. And you want them to let go of this way of living life to do love. You're like the danger zone, and they could get hurt doing love. But, and then there's some people that something didn't work out in a relationship with someone they wanted to maybe be in a relationship with. And they've always kind of been maybe overwhelmed about it. But if you feel overwhelmed and you're not ready to really be in another relationship, don't get in another relationship. You know, our sexual energy, our life force energy is kind of like all these things that we can pour into other things in our life. Our own unique talent, skills, interests, job, career, friends, family. But because some people, though, they want to be in a relationship, they'll get in a relationship that they really shouldn't be in, even if that other relationship didn't work out. If there's not people in your life who are the right people to be in a relationship, then the Seven of Cups can be keep your options open. Keep people in the friend zone. The Three of Cups then could just be acquaintances in your life. The Six of Cups can be getting to know people, doing equal give and take with people to get to know them. But I don't want to get in a relationship until I meet someone who's more on the same page. Some people didn't do that, and they got themselves in relationships with some people they shouldn't have gotten maybe into to begin with. But, you know, that's some lessons to learn in life about not getting in relationships for the wrong reasons. Then some of those people could meet someone, or someone comes back in their life that is kind of more someone they'd really like to be in a relationship with, but they created this illusion with someone else. And then that's us in our more worldly nature, like, I'm not willing to get out of this and speak the truth of it. So they keep moving forward, feeling overwhelmed in a job or a relationship or friendships with people that isn't really aligned with their truth. And I think the divine tries to show people you should adhere to a higher truth and justice. Be just and fair and authentic and loving. You know, and sometimes we move forward with people and, you know, and some people are. I think the people who didn't take action more out of feeling overwhelmed or wanting to be in a relationship, or sex or immaturity or codependency, those people continued to move forward. And as they worked through these issues and kind of came out the other side, kind of being more in the energy of love and feeling more balanced within themselves, that's the energy they're in. And then also, having learned to listen to their intuition about different people, have a much more highly likelihood of getting in relationships with people because they don't indulge taking action from a more worldly, egoic, shadowy reason. And maybe even just get to know people to find out, I can be your friend and I can move forward with you in a relationship, but this isn't moving forward anymore. It kind of stays in the friend zone, acquaintance zone until I really kind of get to know you more about what your truth is, because I don't want to repeat some of these old relationships. And for some people that are doing that right now, it could be difficult because some people would really like to be in a more involved relationship with them, but you know, uh, what's more important? You know, you controlling your lust or getting to know someone. If it's for the long haul and not moment in time, and that's why some people also could be really kind of hiding. There could be people they would like to be in a relationship with, even if they had a chance to. Like that person would get in a relationship or do a tryst with them or get back in a relationship with them. Some of them would drop what they're in to go do that if they thought these people weren't were kind of in a little more shadowy energy. But if the high vibe people keep maintaining balance within themselves and loving themselves and staying in this energy, it's kind of like, no, if you come towards me in like more shadowy energy, I am willing to get to know you, but I'm going to listen to my intuition. And if I don't think you're being authentic or truthful and you're for these other reasons, no. So because of that, some people are not moving forward and they're moving forward in what they are. And, you know, I guess they got to decide what they want to do and make the changes they need to make. And if they're not willing to, then they're not willing to. The high vibe people are kind of maintaining their position. And if there was some people that some of you wanted to be in a relationship, if some of those people are just and fair and loving people, and then you find out, oh shit, they're in a relationship, well, that can be a bummer. But, they just become a good example in your life. You don't let it like, oh my gosh, my dreams are over. No. Um, I believe God has a plan for people's lives, and it doesn't require a certain person. It requires people who are in that same energy. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Virgo energy? Some people have worked through something with some people in their life, friends, family, whoever, and they're moving forward. No more illusions, working on it being a more deep, meaningful relationship. Keep moving forward with those people in your life. And there's some other people that you could have thought were hurtful or unkind or wanted to indulge. You've detached from those people. You've kind of seen the truth and the difference between people. Other people could be in the midst of having to make those kind of decisions about different people in their life. And some people could be, I have fear of being in a more committed relationship, but I know these people love and believe in themselves, and anybody would probably be happy to be in a relationship with them. And I need to work through my own issues that would stop me from moving forward with this, and they will or they won't. What's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? The high priestess. Why? Because of the Two of Pentacles. So, because the high vibe people were motivated, the Two of Pentacles can mean I am going to get balance within myself. I could have been in relationships with people before where I was kind of more tipped out of balance, which part of being tipped out of balance, sometimes some really loving people indulge people that are more not on that same page, thinking they'll change. And then, of course, it was kind of because we didn't want to see the truth. And then it kind of blows up in our face anyway. So it's like, that's it. It has to be a more just and fair and balanced relationship. From now on, if I see people who are more immature, it's like, damn, you're cute. But yeah, no. I've already, until you get out of your more immature phase or you seem to have a lack mentality, or you seem to be more emotionally shut down and live more from your mind than your heart. No, you stay in the friend zone. I I am not getting in relationships anymore until people, unless my intuition tells me they are people who are more balanced within themselves, you know, want some of these things of the world and have their worldly nature, but offset their more worldly nature with being more emotionally mature and stable and grounded and loving and just and fair. That's who I can have my dream come into reality with. So, because the high vibe people were motivated to get balance within themselves, they did this work within themselves and they saw who they needed to let go of and what they needed to detach from within themselves, and let truth and love and maintaining balance within themselves and listening to their intuition and love to guide them. And the high priestess can talk about people sitting back and just observing other people. You can needless, some of the people in your life, you saw what they were doing, and it was like, yep, I need to pick up my investment in those people. When people have the free will and you treat people in a just and fair, authentic, loving way, how do they act? How don't they act? No longer staying in denial. When people show me they're more immature, more bossy, more controlling, whatever, thank you for showing me the truth of who you are. I'm going to focus my attention on people who aren't like that. But it is noted that that's who you are. I might still have to work with you in the world, but that's okay. I just now, I'm not expecting you to change. And probably really helped you connect more in with your intuition when your judgment wasn't being kind of clouded by your more worldly nature. Um, and I think as you listen to your intuition about who's who and keep maintaining your balance, there's going to be other people in the world who know you could go act in whatever other ways you wanted to in the world, and they see you're not doing that. And there could be some people in your life that view you as someone they would like to be in a relationship with, even if it's just getting to know you more or letting down some of their defenses just because of people they've dealt with in their past before, from friendship, coworkers, or neighborhood people. And I think as you keep moving, maintaining your balance and being who you say you are, walking your talk, um, the high priestess is Cancer and Pisces, two emotional water signs. Also, in addition to Cancer, well, there's Cancer, that's Scorpio, the third one. I think you'll see that there'll be some people who work through just seeing like, oh, you're not like some other people I've known. So, some people can be very distrustful, even if it's neighborhood people or coworkers. Oh yeah, I've known people before who acted like this and acted like that. Then they backstabbed me, and so they're leery of being backstabbed again too. So as you keep walking your truth, not wanting to manipulate anyone, not trying to control other people, other people kind of see that's not your truth and they kind of work through their own fears and whatever. And you could see that some of those people become more inspired to work with you more cooperatively. And it's the start of, some new friendships and relationships starting. Okay, what's coming up for some people who harness a little more worldly, shadowy Virgo energy that they might not see coming? They're kind of tipped out of balance, haven't learned to offset their fears or insecurities or past pain and heartbreak or their ego. Two cards not showing themselves because of the Knight of Swords and the Nine of Swords. So, the shadowy people keep being defensive to closing out a cycle. The 1 plus the 9 makes the 10. People can sit in this 9 of Swords forever. And then it's like, no, I'm going to go back and do things the way I was doing it. and they start all over again. What they don't see coming is other people in their life would like to move forward with them. They could, friend, family, whoever, would like things to change and for things to move forward and maybe get more balance. Maybe for people to work through some of these issues or be less immature, be less chaotic, get more stable and grounded within themselves. But the other people don't want to close out a cycle. They want to keep defending some way of living life or viewing life. And because of it, they're going to have some more high vibrational people in their life that are saying, I'm done. I am done being up in a mental prison about this. I am done moving forward and nothing changes and it all falls down again. Again, I can be loving and encouraging to people. It's like you could offer people a cup of love and they say, fill my cup, and you fill their cup and they pour it out when you turn around. Then they say, fill my cup, and you fill their cup, and you think they could use that within themselves, being motivated and inspired within themselves to do this work within themselves. But they're like, oh, that's too much work. I'm going to dump out the cup. Fill my cup. If people don't learn to do this work within themselves, they're people who don't, somewhere along the line, decided, well, that's not my idea of the dream relationship where I have to do that work. How about you just keep indulging me in my immature or self-pity or immature ways of being? There, that works. That's my idea of love. And eventually the other people say, that is not my idea of love, and I'm going to pick up all my sticks and I'm going to move on. And I'm going to go exchange resources with people in my life who do want to do more equal give and take. But you want people to keep giving. That's like the devil. I want to keep being indulged. I want more. I want more. Enough is never enough. So what they don't see coming is that some other people in their life who harness their Gemini energy differently are going to stand up for their truth. They have been wanting things to change. They have been trying to get things to change. And then it's like the fives again talk about change. I can't make other people change, and I should let them live their life the way they want. They have free will. If this is what drives and motivates them, whatever it is, then go enjoy yourself. But I don't really enjoy this, or being in a relationship with people who act like this or whatever. The only person I can change is me. And this cycle is over, and I am done being in relationships with people who don't choose in high vibe. The tower, again, can kind of represent the foundation that we operate from. With people whose truth is different, who maybe don't want to do more equal give and take, or do love, or move to the next phase of a relationship. Then go do what you want to do with someone else. I am exchanging this foundation for this foundation. And some of them just don't get it. What they don't get is that other people did this work within themselves to quit harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way and to harness it in a more high vibe way, which is something they never do. They keep defending, no, this is the truth. We should do this. This is just and fair. And other people don't think it's just and fair. The Page of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. So the Seven of Pentacles, like the Five of Pentacles, is Taurus of having this philosophy of life and this way of living life. High vibe people are willing to learn lessons and incorporate the things that they learn into their philosophy of life. And if we have the 1 plus the 7, we have the 8. And the 8, the 9, and the 10 of Pentacles is Virgo energy. That's how we can close out old cycles. But we have to be willing to be a student of life. We have to be willing to see that last truth. And the truth is, if you're going to be in a romantic relationship, it should be because of love. But some people are like, no, I think I can keep offering just these things of the world. I think I can have sex with them. I think I can offer them money or status or image or create the illusion I'm loving. I don't think I really got to do love. Well, then it's the illusion of love. And it doesn't really feel like love. It's not becoming a more deep, meaningful relationship. Because they keep investing in defending their more immature worldly nature. And again, the pages can be more codependent. I want to be more codependent. You should be more codependent. We should stay in this relationship more out of our fear and our insecurity of leaving it. We should never step outside of our comfort zone and do life differently. We should keep doing this. So basically, they never want to give birth to anything new. The Seven of Cups is like, again, I've learned these lessons. I've reconciled myself with some of these issues from the past. I don't want to keep repeating the past over and over and over. I want to have this new beginning. And the other people are like, no, let's do this. Let's keep doing this. And some people have kept doing it. But eventually people are like, I'm done. If you want to move forward with me in this way, we can see if we can work it out. But if you're not willing to compromise, and it has to be more about you and your way or the highway, then I wish you peace and I'm moving on. And these people will most likely go repeat this old pattern and try to balance out their emotions. It's someone who they could have love for, someone they could be attracted to, weren't willing to make it just more about them and give up their dreams of a more just and fair and authentic and loving relationship because they could know the loving people in their life love them. But they don't want to do love. I want to act like love and quack like love, but I don't really want to do love. So I want to kind of indulge myself in the relationship, and then you won't get the relationship of your dreams, but it works for me. I want to do it that way, and if you're not willing to do it that way, I think I can use the love that you have for me to manipulate you. And some high vibe people are like, I'm done. I can have love for you and I can keep my distance from you, whether you're my adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, or whoever. Because I don't think that's just and fair. That's not the foundation of a type of relationship I want to be in. If it's not more equal give and take and making decisions out of love, and you keep showing me that that's not your truth and it has to be more your way or the highway, or I got to put up with your abusive behavior, I'm leaving. Or stubborn, or prideful, or whatever. And the devil can always be shocked when people see through the illusion of the world and making their life and being tempted to stay in situations in their life more for these worldly reasons. Eventually it's just too overwhelming for the loving people. I can't keep staying here. And they're going to have to go find someone who, are willing to sacrifice those things for it. And if they go get in a relationship with someone else who is either thinks that same way, or no matter how overwhelming it is, they're going to stay in it, well, then that's that person's free will choice of what kind of life they want to manifest. But some other people were like, I can't keep doing this. Again, it can just be like how people keep even living like the emotional mentality of like an 18 to a 25-year-old all their life, even when they're 65. And other people are like, I don't want to keep doing those things. You do it. Enjoy your life. High vibe energy. I wish you peace. Doesn't mean they didn't go through a really angry stage. But that's part of emotionally detaching from people, is like you go through the grieving process and you come out the other side and you're happy. You see through the illusion. You see that every day you're taking action more in truth and love and working and spending your time more with people who are more just and fair, the more you see through the illusion. And the devil looks just like the Lover's card, except in the devil card they have chains and shackles, which is basically people who have a shadowy way of being in a relationship, or they try to manipulate loving people to get them trapped in a relationship with them. Like the devil trying to trap angels, people who are motivated and inspired by love. And God's like, see the truth of these people. Do not stay in relationship with these people. Quit exchanging resources with these people. Move away from these people. Distance from these people. Because some of these people have shown you they do not have your best interest at heart. It's just more for how it benefits them. And they feel entitled. Maybe try to guilt people. It's like, if you had acted in a more just and fair and emotionally mature way, I maybe would have been willing to keep staying in friendship or relationship or at this job. But you weren't willing to do that. I saw the truth of it. So I wish you peace. And I'm going to go be in a relationship with people who are more balanced between their worldly nature and their loving nature. Because high vibe energy is about balance, not being tipped out of balance and wanting someone to either be tipped out of balance with you or indulge you in your poor behavior. Not anymore. I learned that lesson. So there you go, Virgo. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.